My husband kicked me out the house. 3 minutes later a convoy of black SUVs pulled up. The door slammed so hard the glass frame rattled like it might shatter. Get out, Amara, I'm done. For a moment, I just stood there, barefoot on the cold marble floor, suitcase half zipped at my feet, trying to understand how 10 years of marriage could end in a sentence that short. Outside, the sky was turning gray, one of those heavy evenings where the air feels thick, like something is about to happen. Inside, the house still smelled like the dinner I'd cooked an hour earlier. Garlic, rosemary, roasted chicken. The kind of meal that used to make him smile. Now it didn't matter. I said get out, Daniel repeated, his voice colder this time. He didn't look at me. He just checked his watch like he had somewhere better to be. I swallowed hard. Daniel, we can talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. He finally met my eyes, but there was no warmth there. You've been wasting your life helping everyone else. What has that ever brought us? We're stuck. I'm stuck. I'm tired of carrying you. Carrying me. The words hit harder than the door. Because if there was one thing I had done for the last 10 years, it was carry everything quietly. His late nights, his failures, his frustration, his silence. But I didn't say that. I just nodded, because sometimes dignity is all you have left. I picked up my suitcase, slipped on my shoes, and walked out. The door closed behind me without hesitation. The driveway felt longer than usual. Each step echoed louder than it should have, like the world wanted me to hear how alone I was. My phone buzzed in my pocket, probably my sister, but I didn't check it. Where would I even go? I had no savings. Every extra penny had gone into Daniel's business. His dream. The one I believed in more than he ever did. I reached the end of the driveway and stopped. The street was quiet. Too quiet. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. Okay, Amara, I whispered. You'll figure it out. You always do. That had been my rule. My entire life. Figure it out. Even when I lost my parents at 19. Even when I worked double shifts to put myself through nursing school. Even when I met Daniel and believed, for the first time, that maybe I didn't have to do everything alone. And now here I was again. Starting over. I had just pulled my suitcase onto the sidewalk when I heard it. A low rumble. At first, I thought it was thunder. Then came the headlights. One black SUV turned onto the street. Then another. And another. By the time the fourth one appeared, my heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. They moved slowly, deliberately, like they knew exactly where they were going. Toward me. I took a step back. Okay. What is this? I muttered, glancing around. No neighbors outside. No explanation. The first SUV stopped directly in front of me. Then the second behind it. Within seconds, the quiet suburban street looked like something out of a movie. The doors didn't open immediately. Instead, everything went still. Even the air felt like it had paused. Then the driver's door clicked. A tall man in a dark suit stepped out, followed by another from the passenger side. Both scanned the area quickly before turning their attention to me. I tightened my grip on my suitcase. Can I help you? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. The taller man approached slowly, his expression respectful but serious. Ms. Amara Hayes. I blinked. Yes. He nodded once, as if confirming something important. Then he stepped aside. The rear door of the second SUV opened. And the man who stepped out made my breath catch. He was older, maybe in his late 60s, dressed in a tailored coat. His presence commanding in a quiet, undeniable way. But it wasn't his appearance that shocked me. It was his face. Because I knew it. 3 years earlier, rain poured down in sheets, turning the city streets into rivers of headlights and reflections. I had just finished a 12-hour shift at the hospital, exhausted, soaked, and running on nothing but coffee and stubbornness. That's when I saw him. Sitting on the curb. Everyone else walked past like he wasn't there. He looked out of place. Not just because he was drenched, or because his hands trembled slightly, but because there was something in his posture that didn't match the situation. Something dignified, lost, but not broken. I slowed down. Sir, I said gently, are you okay? He looked up at me, eyes sharp despite the exhaustion. I'm fine. He clearly wasn't. Do you have somewhere to go? I asked. He hesitated. That was answer enough. I didn't think about it too much. I just acted. I took him to the small cafe that was still open, bought him a hot meal, and sat with him while he ate. He didn't speak much at first, just nodded occasionally, as if words required too much energy. But after a while, he started talking. Not about himself. About life. About mistakes. About how sometimes people only realize what matters after they've lost everything. I listened. Really listened. Because that's what I'd always done best. Before we left, I handed him my spare coat. "You'll need this more than I do," I said. He looked at me like I had just done something extraordinary. But to me, it wasn't. It was just human. "Why?" he asked quietly. "Because someone once did the same for me," I replied. He studied my face for a long moment. Then he said something I never forgot. "Kindness like yours doesn't disappear. It finds its way back." I smiled politely. I didn't believe him. Back on the street, 3 years later, that same man stood in front of me. Dry, strong, very much not lost. "You," I whispered. He smiled. "I was hoping you'd remember." My mind struggled to catch up. I don't understand." He stepped closer, his expression softening. "That night," he said, "you saved more than you realize." I shook my head. "I just bought you dinner." "No," he said gently. "You gave me something I had lost. Perspective." He glanced at the house behind me, then back at my suitcase. "And it seems you may need some of that returned." Behind him, one of the suited men spoke quietly into an earpiece. Daniel's front door opened. My heart skipped. Daniel stepped out, confusion written all over his face as he took in the line of SUVs, the men in suits, and me standing at the center of it. "What the, Amara, what is this?" he demanded. The older man didn't even look at him. His attention stayed on me. "I looked for you," he continued. "For months. But you disappeared." I let out a small, bitter laugh. "Life has a way of doing that." "Yes," he said, "it does." He paused, then gestured slightly. One of the men stepped forward, holding a folder. "I owe you a debt," the older man said. "I don't want anything," I replied quickly. "I didn't help you for that." "I know," he said. "That's why you deserve it." Daniel walked closer now, his voice sharper. "Amara, who is this?" The older man finally turned. And just like that, the energy shifted. "You must be Daniel," he said calmly. Daniel frowned. "Yeah, and you are." The man didn't answer directly. Instead, he took the folder, opened it briefly, then closed it again. "My name," he said, "is Victor Hale." Daniel's face went pale, because that name meant something. A lot. Victor Hale, a man whose companies shaped industries, whose decisions moved markets, whose influence reached further than most people could even imagine. And 3 years ago, he had been sitting on a curb in the rain. Daniel stammered. I didn't realize." "No," Victor said evenly. "You didn't." Silence stretched across the driveway. Then Victor turned back to me. "I'm not here to disrupt your life," he said. "But I won't ignore what you did for me." I glanced at Daniel, at the house, at everything I had just lost. "I don't have a life to disrupt anymore," I said quietly. Victor studied me carefully. Then he nodded, as if coming to a decision. "Then perhaps," he said, "this is where a new one begins." He handed me the folder. My hands trembled slightly as I opened it. Inside were documents. Official. Detailed. Life-changing. I looked up at him, stunned. "I can't." "You can," he said firmly. "And you should." Daniel stepped forward, panic creeping into his voice. "Amara, wait, let's talk about this." For the first time since I walked out, I felt something shift inside me. Not anger, not revenge, just clarity. I closed the folder slowly, and took a step forward.